Hey there, welcome to Find Your Sun. I'm Cass.
And I'm Mare.
Join us as we find our sun through movement, nourishment, and well-being.
Awakened through the power of play. Let's dive in. Hello, Sunseekers, and welcome back to the Sunne Podcast. I'm Meredith, and as always, I am joined by my incredible co-host, Cassie. How are you doing today?
You know, I'm doing all right, but I'm really excited to dive into today's topic about finding balance between stillness and motion. It's such an important conversation, especially in a world that constantly demands us to keep moving. How are you feeling about it, Meredith?
I am really ready to unpack this one. I feel like it feels like such a timely conversation, especially since we often equate busyness with productivity. We forget to find the value in stillness. So Sunseekers, if you've ever wondered how to balance the go, go, go of life with moments of intentional pause, this episode is for you. When was the last time that you felt like you embraced complete stillness?
For me, it's during my morning meditations. I have been trying to make a habit of meditating in the morning before I wake up. It's just an easier way for me to subtly get up instead of getting up right after my alarm. It's just, I set aside, my alarm goes off a little bit earlier than I would like, but then it gives me kind of that space to just have 10 minutes to myself.
What time does your alarm go off?
5:45.
5:45. Okay, so you turn over and you turn on your meditation app and you lay there.
Yes, and I just lay there.
Gosh.
And sometimes I'll sit up if I'm
that sounds heavenly.
It's nice. Yeah, it is. And sometimes my son will come in. It's not always perfect, but I do tell him, come in, you can lay next to me. You can't talk during these next 10 minutes. You can ask me anything after, but you just need to sit here. He
meditates too then.
He does. Yeah, he does. And now he talks about it, which is great. So yeah, it's my way of easing into the day, embracing the quiet, and finding a sense of calm before all of the busyness begins.
That is really powerful because I have not even tried this. I haven't practiced it either, but I do think that during the evening, that's when I find my quiet because David, before we go to bed, he always puts on binaural beats for sleep and you just go into this deep meditation. But I think the guided meditation is really powerful. So yeah, that might be something great to integrate because I'm not very good at getting up right now.
Yeah, no, it's hard.
I am pressing that snooze button. I don't know if it's the cold or that I've been a little sick or I don't know what it is right now, but it's just, I'm not having that that extra willpower to get out of bed.
Either am I. And that's why the meditation actually helps me because it helps me start to wake up. You start to use your brain a little bit.
Oh, I like that.
You know, but yeah, I like the nighttime routine too. What is there anything else that brings stillness for you?
Yeah. I actually, for me, it's during my yoga practice. So there's something so powerful about flowing through asanas and then reaching savasana. Ooh, you know that feeling?
Yeah.
It's just everything just clicks into place. And Cassie and I found the yoga garden last year and I just really love it. I had not been to a physical class in quite a while. So I remember going back to my very first class after so long and it brought me to tears during savasana. And I felt like it was just coming home to myself. So I find that yoga, that stillness that you find when you find your breath in each movement, is a really powerful connection between the mind and body. And I just really loved finding the yoga garden with you last year. And I hope we can find it some more because
we should.
And now I find that I just practice yoga just throughout the house or during my special moments.
You really taught me about really focusing on the breath. And so when we went together, I found a different sense of fulfillment in yoga. I felt when I was really just focused on nothing else, because I'm a very competitive person. So whenever I'm doing anything, I'm always okay, how am I doing compared to other people? And it's not something that I intentionally am trying to do. It's just something that's almost subconscious and it just happens.
Totally. Yeah. When it's a part of you.
Yeah. So, but when I was just really focusing just on my breath, I didn't have any time to compare myself to what other people were doing.
Right.
And so I did find like a different sense of gratitude for yoga.
And yoga is actually the only person that you have any expectation for in the room is yourself. And everyone around you. The practice is for you.
Yeah.
It is designed for you. So it's not about how deep someone else is in the pose. Or how far they are along in their practice. It's all about like where you are at in your practice in that moment and honoring that power within because it's so strong.
Yeah. You taught me that.
I love yoga. I really do.
Yoga, I feel like just has such a way of blending movement and stillness. And I think that's kind of why it came up today. And it's a beautiful reminder that the two aren't opposites, but complements. Would you say that moment was intentional, or did it happen organically when you were in Savasana and having that? And explain what Savasana is, because not everybody is in yoga.
Oh, true. Yeah. Okay. So you have asanas, which are postures or like positions that you move throughout your yoga practice. And then Savasana is the final posture, which is when you just lay, they call it like, I think it's called dead man's pose.
Or corpse pose.
Corpse pose. Yeah. So you're just flat. Your palms are open to the sky. Your feet are wide and open. And you just allow everything to like just feel so grounded in that moment. And I feel like it's like this last moment to show appreciation for your practice and your breath and honoring those, your teacher really. And then also those around you. And so that moment for me, like I had set a very strong intention in that first practice when I went back, and I really wish that I could remember what it was. Like, I think I even told myself to write it down, but I didn't. And so I think that part was very intentional. Like I kept that word throughout my practice that time. And then when I went into Savasana, I felt like I had really honored that word so strongly that that was an organic moment where I found this, where I was brought to tears, like honoring myself. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I really, God, I love it.
You got deep.
I did.
Oh.
So I think it's a bit of both. Like there was definitely intention behind going to the class and setting an affirmation, but the release and the emotion that happened, it was organic. And it's one of those moments that stays with you because it's just so pure.
We have to go do it again.
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
Maybe during spring. It'd be a nice time to start back up.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay. And moments of stillness for me, meditation, a very intentional practice. And some days are harder and it's hard to quiet my mind. But even on those days, I find clarity and calm just by showing up, and also gratitude for showing up. It helps me, like we mentioned earlier, just get out of bed. So my moments of stillness are intentional sometimes. I also mentioned to Meredith how yesterday I found stillness actually in my lifting routine. But because when you're lifting heavy, and that's something that I like to do to try to build muscle, and I'm just thinking only about getting through the next rep. And that's when like everything kind of just shuts off and I'm able to just focus on this one thing. And that feels very still for me as well. So it's not just like this elusive, like, ooh, like I love that yoga can bring stillness. And I don't ever want to say like that you can't find stillness in that, but you can also find stillness in other ways.
Totally. I 100% agree with you on that, because lifting, I also lift because I think that we should have all forms of movement. Like it's not just singular. It's not just a singular way to find stillness. But I think with that lifting and lifting heavy, like you're challenging yourself in a way that requires you to be so present in the moment. I've watched my husband do this for years too. Like he is so strong. Like I think he did 340 in bench press the other day. And I 340. And I got to spot him and I just watched him do it. And then like that moment after, he just felt like so fulfilled.
Joy. Yeah.
A lot of joy. And, you know, another thing that we want to talk about is like when life feels busy for us, how do we personally balance moments of stillness with everything else you have going on? So like, what is it that like when the world just seems to be like just crazy all around us, like chaotic and busy. And that definitely happens when you have kids.
Yeah.
You know?
How do you do?
Yeah, what do you do? I don't even know.
How do you even find stillness when everything's chaotic? Because Meredith and I both know what that feels like. Right now I'm going to school. I'm in personal training. We're doing the podcast. I'm also a mom. So it's like I'm juggling multiple things. But like I said earlier, it's definitely about being intentional with it. You can't just like expect it to come all the time, even though there is moments I think that it does happen organically. But for me to be able to know that I'm going to have these moments of stillness, it's about creating that routine, like my morning meditation. And I also like to journal at night. These rituals create space for stillness, even when life feels really freaking chaotic. And I think
we're laughing right now because it's so true. Like it is. It's just,
like after this podcast, we're like booking it to 100th day parade for our
which
kids.
We had to make best for. I mean, my best is legit. Like Mari's vest is so cute.
I'm sure it is. Oh my God. I can't wait to see it. But yeah. So I think a lot of people can relate to the idea of weaving stillness into their lives through intentional practices. Meredith, are there any rituals that really help you create these moments?
Oh, okay. Yes, absolutely. I have some rituals. I found that journaling is a big one for me, especially in the mornings after movement. I challenge my body and then I come back and I'm like very attuned to what I want to get done for the day. So journaling has been really big for me. And it's like hitting the reset button before the day gets away from me.
So you journal in the morning?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
I journal and also my planner. I add in like anything that happened yesterday was like special or
it's so cute too. Because you showed me how you've kept all of your journals throughout, or all of your planners throughout the year. So they are kind of like journals back into like what was going on during that time. Totally. So that's really cool.
I could go back to any day and be like, oh, wow. I remember that.
Yeah.
You know,
it kind of puts it into perspective a little bit.
Totally. And like David and I actually kept a calendar. This is when this is back in 2015. We bought this like big calendar to put in our kitchen. And like we went all the way down to like September. And this was in the beginning of the year. And we were like, let's just write this question to ourselves to find out like where we are. And so like we wrote in September, this was in January. We wrote in September and we said, where are you today? And it was wild. Like we had moved from San Diego to Hawaii, and like those journaling moments you can reflect back on and say, oh, wow, look at that growth. Look at how much you were able to accomplish.
Yeah. That is so fun. I know, because you were like, wow, I was there. And now how the heck did I get all the way here?
You're in Hawaii. What? So what's like one of the biggest challenges that you face when trying to create stillness in your life?
I think time and distractions. Yeah. Social media is such a big one for me, and can be such a time suck. And it's easy to fall into the social media traps. But I've started setting app limits. And this has been such a game changer because it really is preventing me from over scrolling. And when I'm like creating for social media, I find myself then not creating and just scrolling. And that's just like an easy transition in the app. So I only have this set amount of time. If I'm going to be in the app, I need to be creating. And then if I have like a little bit of time, like I do like to see like what my friends are up to. So like there is value in social media and I don't like to demonize it so much, but it can like suck you in. I'm still on it, but like I also have a boundary that helps me stay present and focused on what really matters.
I completely get that. And I definitely second that. I have a time limit on my app as well. And I think it might be like 30 minutes. So I have to be very intentional. And then I have to request for more time if I want to stay on longer. So then that's also intentional. Like, do I really need 15 more minutes?
Yeah.
It makes you think about it.
It does.
And I think for me though, what might be challenging is it's like the constant demands of family life. I've learned to find stillness even in like the chaos. I noticed the other night, my daughter had fallen asleep in my lap and I was just stroking her hair and just feeling so much gratitude while I was typing out like how I felt about these answers, these questions that we were going to think about sharing on the podcast, like what was important to us. But what happened earlier is that I was trying to answer the questions while I was making dinner and I hear, mom. So like, it's just it's hard, but it's like finding those moments to still try to interact and do something for you, even when life feels hard, you know? So yeah, just journaling while dinner's simmering on the stove, you know?
That is such a good way to, I think, just incorporate stillness for you.
Yeah.
And a good reminder that stillness doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be intentional.
Yeah.
I found that even small moments like taking a few minutes to deep breathe can even make a difference.
Yeah, I think that's just like that reminder. Okay, take a couple of deep breaths. We talked about that box breathing a couple times now.
Take a deep breath with us right now.
Take a deep breath. Okay, hold on now. Okay. I need it. One. Yep.
See? You can find it even while you're listening to a podcast.
Right? Oh God. I hope you guys just did that. If not, take your time to do it again. So let's give our Sunseekers some actionable tips beyond just box breathing.
Yes.
But what are some small ways to incorporate stillness into your daily routine?
I think it's important to start small. Use the things that you're already habit stacking away. Like, what are you already doing in your day? And can you find stillness in what you're already doing? So I don't know if you have like a cup of coffee in the morning, if you want to just like step outside, if it's a nice day, just step outside, enjoy those couple sips of coffee, because I know if you're a mom, you do not have that much time. So just enjoying a couple sips of coffee in the morning outside can be a good one. Do you have one that you'd like to suggest?
I think that I love listening to music. So I feel like that's also a time that allows me to break into the stillness. And then again, I think that deep breathing and journaling can make a big impact, but also recommend setting like reminders if you want to, because sometimes we just need a little nudge to help us find that pause to reset. And you know, if you're new to stillness, like I said earlier, I think that the Headspace or apps like Headspace are amazing for guiding meditations. I think that it's really intentional and helps like introduce this idea of how to, you know, if you think of your mind like a sky, and it talks about like how when we have a lot of thoughts in our mind, like racing, that would be mirroring what it looks like to have a lot of clouds in the sky. Or like gray clouds, like maybe we feel sad. So they're gray clouds. But then if we just remember that the blue sky exists, then it helps to calm us down and regulate our central nervous system. So I think that that's a really positive tool to use.
I also like to use Calm. That's the one I prefer.
Yeah.
I have used Headspace, but for some reason it just doesn't like resonate with me as much.
Interesting.
But I like Calm, and Tamara Levitt's my favorite. I always do her daily Calm. I just find it really refreshing because she has different little nuggets of wisdom, I feel like, after the meditation. And I also want to express like, if you struggle to meditate, if you find that like when you're meditating, your thoughts and your concerns pop up, this is very common. And there is a way where like you are in that meditation to kind of let go of those thoughts and observe them instead of like putting emotion onto them. So like I challenge you, if you do struggle with it, like just observing the thoughts from like, imagine yourself up above and you're not like in your thoughts, you're just observing them. So like you're observing them up from the sky or something and kind of just letting them flow away like a cloud or something, you know, it's just kind of like slowly drifting away. And maybe just saying thank you, but not right now, because your brain's it's trying to like solve a problem or, you know, help you in some way, but coming back to the breath and just letting it float away.
Yeah, I wish I want to bring Winnie the Pooh back in here.
I have a quote.
Okay, share.
I have a quote. You don't have to control your thoughts. You just have to let them stop controlling you. By Dan Millman.
You don't have to control your thoughts. You just have to let them stop controlling you. That's a good one. Another tool that I've been using over the past couple past month.
Mm-hmm.
But that intelligent change productivity planner that I shared with you guys, it really helps us set intentions and create space for mindfulness. And these are all really great resources. And I think it's also important to find what works for you, whether it's meditation, yoga, running, or just sitting quietly, with a cup of tea.
Yeah. So if you were to describe stillness to someone who's never experienced it, what imagery would you use?
I feel like I would describe it as standing still in the forest where everything feels alive, but quiet at the same time. There's this sense of peace and connection. And it's not about doing nothing, but about being fully present.
Yeah, I just had this pop into my head randomly, but like it's this kind of balance in the synchronicity that I feel like I end up having gratitude for when I'm in nature.
Yeah, totally. It speaks to us.
Yeah.
When we're listening.
Yeah.
Like we just have to be quiet. I hope that you guys can find that beauty around you wherever you are, whenever you have a moment, and share it with your children, or share it with your spouses, or share it with your mom or your dad or your grandchildren.
For me, stillness is like flowing water, constantly moving, yet calm and unobstructed. It's about finding your flow and trusting it.
Yeah. Be like water. Thank you, Bruce Lee. I love that one.
Yeah, that one's a great one.
Right, Cassie?
Yep, you need to be like water. If you're going through it, just know that today is a new day and just focus on right now.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Keep going. Because I know like a lot of people, especially like some of my family members, are struggling with seasonal depression right now. And it's kind of a yucky time of year.
It really is. I think, and the barometric pressure really does affect how we feel, like our mood. And, that's why we have this winter where we go into this more introspective time where we reflect on everything that's happening for us. We've had so much going on economically and
politically,
like there's just
so much.
And we are inundated. Like we are so blasted with so many different perspectives all at once. And then you put the weather on top of that and we can't go outside and it's cold and you have to be bundled up and you're maybe not being as active.
You're probably not.
And you might have gotten the virus, or you might have gotten like sick from something. So it's just, there's something that just holds you back a little bit more during the winter months that challenge you. But I think that that's what the beauty of spring is. So I am excited to start thinking about, February is coming up and we start celebrating love and how important it is to really have self-love, but then love for those around us and how strong it is to build our relationships. And then we have this rebirth of spring and it's so beautiful.
So
and
keep
so
going.
I hope you, keep going.
Even if it sucks right now.
That's why I feel like I'm even doing this podcast, is because I want to speak to those that
need that
fear that
of
they
light.
can't go anymore.
Yeah.
So keep going.
It's beautiful. Sunseekers, we hope this episode inspires you to create space for stillness in your life. Remember, it's not about being perfect or doing all of the things. It's about showing up for yourself in small and intentional ways.
Exactly. While I gain composure. Let's all commit to finding those moments of stillness, however they show up for you. Thank you for joining us today. And don't forget to find us on Instagram. Please do. We are under the Sunne Podcast now. So you'll probably see some new branding stuff, but we're really just being very intentional this year and kind of going back to our roots of where we started and how important that vibrant yellow was for us. So we hope that it sparks something really beautiful deep within you.
Yeah.
And we'd love to hear how you're finding stillness this week. It would be great to just know that you're out there.
Yeah, I agree. We would love to hear from you. It would honestly make our day. So until next time, keep moving, keep playing, and keep finding your sun. Just before you go, if you want to sprinkle some love our way without spending a dime, why not hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel? It's like giving us a hug through the internet. So please give that button a little tap tap and join our Sun family.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. We hope you found the discussions enlightening and inspiring. Please note that the information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only. All opinions expressed here are solely our own and do not reflect the views of any sponsors or affiliate partners.
And before you apply any of the health strategies discussed on the podcast, we recommend consulting with a professional to ensure it is appropriate for your specific circumstances.
Remember, we're here to spark conversation and ideas, not substitute for any professional advice.